Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview our game against Tottenham this weekend. We'll start off with Anton at Sky.
Hiya.
As quite often it's the case at Everton, a couple of off-field matches to start with. That's right. First off,
No. Surprised when anything gets brought up.
Let's start obviously with the ownership situation. You know, John Textor's been having communications with Farhad Moshiri this week. I just wondered if you've received any update and whether you had a chance to talk to him when he was here.
No, I'm against popular belief. I'm not always in the loop with them sort of talks about the total ownership of the club. I do know somewhat, but not in this case. I know he's around as possibly a buyer of the club, but not actually anywhere near me as such.
How are you going to feel when someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "Sean, we finally got this issue"?
It only really affects what I do is about the possible future of budgets and money, really. You know, because when you think about it, our job is still to stay tuned to the fact we need to win football matches. You know, and I made sure that we saw through all the challenges last year by sticking to that and encouraging the players and the staff to stick to that. So outside of that, it doesn't change that much until it comes usually, not always, but it might be a change of strategy, of course, but that usually somewhere down the line involves finance, usually.
You mentioned budgets. We're getting towards the end of the transfer market. Do you expect a busy sort of final week?
No, I think it's unlikely. We've worked very hard in the market. We've brought in players who we think can develop into the Premier League. You know, they're not all game ready, straight away, but we think they're good players and can grow into the club and to the Premier League. You know, if you take, Tim's done ever so well. I think Tim's minutes were about, league-wise, I think he had about 2 games worth of minutes last season. Jasper about 8. Illy's like 17 or something. So, there's a long way for them guys to get to full Premier League speed, but we believe they're very talented players. So Jake slightly different, he played a bit more. And then when you think of that and working very hard to get them deals done and losing players as well, then there's not much more wiggle room, I don't think. And if there is, then that's helpful. If there's not, then that's the way it is.
I suppose the wiggle room increases if one of this sort of more senior, sort of more big name assets does move on. Do you see that sort of as being unlikely, though?
Not at the moment, unless I'm told any different according to the market, but not at the moment. It's I think the club seem pretty steadfast with the business we've done. Shifting sands of football, who knows, what happens, but generally I think it's in a place where everyone said, right, okay, we are where we are, type thing.
Finally on that, Kieran Trippier's a name that's come up today. Is that a player that...
He's one of many names that's come up here. As if by magic his name comes up when we haven't got a right back available. It's funny, though, isn't it?
Works mysterious.
No, yeah, it does do it. It's incredible.
Look, how big is this game this weekend?
They're all big games. I mean, I've said it ever since I've been here. Every game's a big game. There's people always laugh at me for saying that, but it is. It's Everton Football Club, regardless of the rules and reasons all go out the window. I've learned that. It's about winning. It's about taking on the next challenge. It's about reacting on this occasion. The storyline changes very quickly here, so we've got to correct it. It's a tough task going down to a very strong Tottenham side. We know that. They've invested heavily. They had a good season last season. We're stretched, unfortunately. We're down to about 14 recognised first-team players at the minute, so that's not perfect, but the challenge is right in front of us, as always. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll go to Al on Premier League Productions.
Talking about responding and the challenges you had to overcome last season, during that time you spoke a lot about seeing the positives and appreciating what was building behind the scenes, even if the results weren't going your way. Obviously, the start of the weekend, not the result you would have wanted, but what positives can you take from it and what do you want to build on?
Well, the positives are the sense it was a very thorough performance until 2 big mistakes cost us, and even the first goal was a mistake from not being in the right position on turnover, but the second 2 are hard as a manager and as a group to legislate for, quite obviously. We've lost a few bodies in pre-season, which has been unfortunate. They're searching for true fitness, so we've got to get them fit, and we've lost more who might not be available for this weekend. So that's just one of them things. But what we have learned is you've got to stay steadfast to the cause and what's right in front of you, and I think we've done that. We've shown signs of doing that during the whole of pre-season, because we've had more challenges, mainly with injuries and obviously losing players and trying to shuffle the pack. It's the ongoing challenge of what is currently the life at Everton. It's never... I don't think there's been many easy rides since I've been here, and we start immediately, and you're immediately back to square one where everyone says, right, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and that's just life at Everton. That's the way it is.
Without a an away win in the calendar year, but a new season, a fresh start. How key to the success of the club this season will be changing that record early on?
Yeah, when I got here, it was changed the away record, then it was changed the home record, and now it's changed all the records. So, like I say, this is standard for what I've learnt about the club. We have to make sure that we're addressing both markets, at them being home and away. They're both important. We were very strong at home at the end of last season. We've got to make sure we provide that again. We didn't have a good start, obviously. Away games, they're challenges everywhere you go, and you want to go to these places. Particularly, you'd class Tottenham currently in the top 6, that's for sure, or that most people would. And it's a big challenge, and we are thin in numbers, but we have to go down there and take on the game like we always do.
You mentioned some of the updates in the team news. Jared Branthwaite obviously played a huge role the last time you met Tottenham in the league. Where's he at with his recovery and how ready?
Yeah, he's still a bit away. He's not close at the moment. A few of the lads are getting a bit closer. Seamus is a bit closer. Jimmy Garner's a bit closer, just coming back in training with the group. Tarky's got a maybe situation, so we're going to have to look at that going into the next game. We obviously know the right back situation with the suspension of Young as well. Youssef's a bit longer term as well. Patterson's a bit longer term as well. So still a challenge, ongoing, and we haven't got much situation to correct it with financially. So we've just got to work with the players and hope their fitness gets back. To being fully fit and then stay fit.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
We'll go to Julia.
You've said there that some of the newer players are not always game ready, but given the list of injuries you've just said there, and now Tarkowski being a maybe, is there a fine line with the younger players then, or the ones that have come in with getting that experience and learning, or just throwing them in? I just wondered, when do you deem them ready, and is this a case now where they may just play?
Yeah, it's a tough call. The throwing them in idea was never really throw them in. Very rarely do managers literally do that. Last chance saloon maybe if they've just got nothing else. But you try and get players when, to be fair to them, don't forget to give them a chance when you feel they're ready to deliver. Because you can detract from a player's start point if you put them in it's too early and they're not ready. The game's more unforgiving now. It used to be 30 years ago you put young players and everyone accepted it. Now you put them in and they're well, why did you put him in if he's not ready? So that's the challenge, and it's finding that balance. And I think some get excuse me, you've heard me speak about 2 careers now. They often now have a career away from the main club, particularly Premier League clubs. They'll have a career away from that, come back to the Premier League club and then find their way. And if they haven't had that, it can be more difficult. Some players go straight in. Dwight Manil, who's now here, when he was with me at the previous club, we put him straight in, straight out of the blue. Didn't have a loan, just went straight in, and he never really came out. That's few and far between now, I think. So it's a much more difficult kind of situation to make sure they get a chance to play and make sure they've got the strength around them. Don't forget that they can have that strength to build from and play, and therefore develop.
You were at the under-21s game at Tranmere as well this week. Does that mean, you just said there last chance saloon, that you're very low on numbers? Are you looking to some of those younger players now to step up this weekend?
Yeah, but it's not as simple as just saying step up. They all want to step up, but they've got to be ready. They've got to be good enough for the challenge. The Premier League's a very unforgiving league, and like I said, the players we brought in, when you look at their minutes from last season, to throw them straight in the Premier League is very difficult. And some of them have hardly played during pre-season as well. Don't forget, Tim's the exception. He was with us early, so he did virtually all of everything with us. So therefore, he's adapted, he learned, he's got stronger as the season's gone on, and he looks game ready by the way he's performing during pre-season and last week when I thought he played very well. Still got the nuts and bolts to learn because he's a very young player still, particularly in the Premier League in the sense of experience. But he's shown very strong signs. So fast tracking is a risk and reward situation. But you want to fast track players ideally when they're going into a very strong unit. At the minute, we are missing some very important players, and they proved to be very important players.
Could you just give us an update on Dele Alli? I know you'd said you wanted to give him some behind closed doors games, and
yeah, he's just not ready for that yet. That's all it is.
Would he want to stay?
Well, we haven't gone down that road because he's not ready to play yet. You have to be ready to play to know what your future holds. So he hasn't played in a long time.
I just want to ask you as well, a lot was made about comments after the game about fans leaving early. Some took it as a criticism of Everton's fan base.
I've never criticised the fans here, ever since I've been here. I was just making a valid point of the obvious reality. You 2-0 down, you go 3-0 down, you've got 10 men in the Premier League. It's very difficult, that scenario, to get back from. So, if you're a fan, you're going to go, well, should have got off early. I wasn't criticising anyone. That's just a human thing, I would imagine. I don't go to many games in that respect, but I would imagine if you're a fan and you sit there, go, well, don't think much is going to change in this scenario.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. We'll go to Rob at the BBC.
Sort of all positions in the team, whether it be through recruitment or finding solutions elsewhere, how much of a priority is full-back at the moment for you?
Well, it's a short-term situation currently. If it becomes long-term, that's different. But we've just been unfortunate in the sense that Young has got suspended. Shame's got a short-term injury. Let's hope so. It's seemingly so. He's going well on his recovery now. So you're not just going to make a knee-jerk decision because of what might be one game. We're not sure, but it could be just this weekend. Well, we haven't got the finances to do that. Obviously, it'd have to be something that we think can add to the group longer term, not just one game.
And understandably, a lot of hope going into the new season. I'm just wondering, for you, what you think are their expectations on the...
I don't think the hope had changed. I think looking at the last 3 seasons of this football club, every season's a hope season. It's not a guarantee. Everyone's looking at the guy going, we hope for a better season. We've lost players. We've tried to adjust the squad. We're working as hard as we can to stay competitive. So it's not about hope. It's about keeping the edge to be competitive and see where it takes us. That's my marker has only been to progress, and that's what I'll be looking to do this season. Just get a team that can progress, learn, and improve.
Thanks, Rob.